I want to dive in. I want to get started because we do have some pretty neat content coming. Um, so for those of you don't know me, I'm Steve. I do webinars for alternative payments. We'll talk about alternative payments later. Me, I used to run my own MSP. I've been an IT professional since 2002, and I joined the dark side a few years ago. I work at a vendor now. It's a lot of fun, but I do miss the IT stuff. So I help my friends out occasionally, as you just heard. Um, Wim, how about you, man? You're a busy guy.
Busy? I don't like the word busy. We should ban that word, right? It's better to be like, hey, are we productive or not, right?
That's fair.
We can
That's
act
fair.
busy and our hair's on fire, but are we getting stuff done? Um, but yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to take on. Um, but
So Wim has I believe you've got like two different MSPs.
yeah.
And then you also have a platform that you sell to MSPs. And we'll talk about that later too. So, Wim, why on earth do you have two different MSPs?
Because when I started out, I was like a huge geek and
Huh?
I've always been into a lot of different things.
And that's changed?
No, I've probably done more software development in the last 3 weeks than I have in 10 years,
Oh, man.
right? With this Claude code and stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of going back to my roots, maybe. I don't know. Um, yeah, as far as why two MSPs, oh yeah, so why did I start? We started over 19 years ago. I got married,
Uh-huh.
came back from the wedding, didn't want to go back to my previous employer, as in they didn't want to give me a raise after like 3 years. So, and it was a long commute. So I'm like, hey, it's time to start on my own. Got busy pretty quick. But I was doing a mix of, there was like ISP stuff, as in I had my own ISP. We're doing like dial-up support and DSL, and then I had other these consulting clients where we're doing like Cisco high-end networking and switches and BGP and all that stuff, Linux, Windows, some programming in there. Always done everything, right? And that's why I had like a generic name on my company. It was like Kerkhoff Technologies, so I didn't want to be too specific in a box.
Uh-huh.
Um, so we've always done a lot, basically Linux and Windows work, and we dropped the ISP stuff a long time ago. And but it was hard to, as we grew it and grew the team and the client base, it was really hard to be successful in either one. And when I came up with the Crafty Penguins name for the Linux business, that allowed it to really hone in that vision and that business plan, and it really took off. And it helped the Windows MSP, which is kind of like what left, to be more focused as well, more standard there. So I came up with that name over 10 years ago, and it's kind of like the last 3 years, 4 years that we really finished out. So there's its own set of books, its own account, company, share structure, everything. Um, and they're each teams of like 15 people doing well. So that's why we split it. So it's kind of a bit of a shared finance and HR
Huh.
and leadership, but they're their own teams, their own business plan, own leadership teams.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, hey, I've got a poll that I'm going to launch. It's not, it's not like probing questions. It's honestly, guys, I want you to almost look in the mirror a little bit and tell us what you're thinking, So the first question is, how does your team get their next ticket or task when they finish one? The second question, how many tickets or tasks does a typical technician on your team have in progress right now? Question number three, what would it mean for your business if your team could deliver 20 to 30% more work without adding any new employees? Question number four, if you could fix one thing about how work moves through your team, what would it be? So take a moment, answer those. While you do that, uh, Wim, I don't know if you noticed, I got some green behind me, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. I was supposed to wear my green shirt. 'Cause I love St. Patrick. He's like
Oh,
a saint, an evangelist, a missionary. Yeah, I love St. Patrick, but I totally forgot.
it's okay. It's okay. Um, so yeah, today is St. Patrick's Day. So for the remainder of today's webinar, Wim and I will be doing our best Irish accent. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Please don't leave. All right. So, so the topic today, we're going to talk about um, the hidden 20 to 30% of like efficiency, productivity that you don't realize is even there in your help desk. Now, I just want to preface this with this whole webinar really is like supposed to be educational stuff. Okay, guys, this is not a veiled pitch for either of our platforms. We'll have a few minutes of commercials in the middle, and we're going to continue going right back into the education. Those are not going to take more than 5 minutes. So, Wim, most MSPs say they need to hire before they can grow. You believe that the capacity is already there. What did you see, like, in your own MSPs and other MSPs that's convinced you of that?
And B was seen in my own, but with the many MSPs I have the privilege to work with, is that with just a couple mindset shifts, a couple beliefs, and methods, unlocking a lot of capacity. And some have even like doubled their revenue with the team they have, and the team's happier and healthier. And um, not just more utilized, but they're able to lean into challenging work where they had people that were bored, could take on more, and people who are overwhelmed, getting into a better flow. So I've seen that. And that's
So,
some, go ahead.
to clarify, on the same day at the same time, you would see 2 different people. One guy's bored and the other guy's overwhelmed?
Happens very often. Most companies
Oof,
have that
okay.
because
Don't love
some people are
that.
like Velcro, right? They hold the work to themselves and they put it on themselves. Um, and other people, we hold them down because we say, well, they're junior or they're tier one or they're this or that. And we don't give them the opportunity to take on more work, or just the conversation isn't there about, okay, how do we get this work done as a team rather than individually? So they say they have a team, but it's really just a group of people and everyone's working their own ticket list. And they don't see the work in the rest of the team. So
Eh.
Brent's got 20 tickets that he's half started, half finished. And Bob's just got a couple. And when he's done, he's waiting for the dispatcher to give him work.
Well, sounds like Brent's got ADHD.
Could be, which is, don't we all a little bit we're all a little bit there. Um,
That's fair.
but I think every team's got that. So statistically, there's some are like that. And it's because they want to help and they say yes. And some of us are very sharp. So we're kind of the go-to people, and the go-to people get bogged down. Yeah.
Now, just a few minutes ago, you said you wanna ban the word busy. You wanna replace it with productive. What's wrong with being busy? Um, what should MSPs be measuring instead? Because, I mean, we're all busy, right?
Yeah. The one of the people I work with regularly, do you know Todd Kane?
I do. Todd's a great guy.
Productivity. Let me see. He's got this nice little chart.
Okay.
The busy versus productive. Um, and
I bet
actually,
I've seen this chart.
I don't know if I can bring it up on images so you can bring it up. Ben busy, Todd Kane. Can I?
So while he looks that
Oh,
up,
yeah. I'll find
while
it.
he
Um,
that's okay. While he looks that up, I'm wondering, I did, gosh, 20 years ago, this like Franklin Covey time management course. And I assure you, I have forgotten most things from that course, but there are two things that I definitely will never forget. One is, and we're talking 2006, okay? They said, "Hey, what's the one thing that when it happens, you stop what you're doing and you give it your full attention?" So I don't know, like what? They said your phone ringing, or like, I mean, but why wouldn't you, right? And they said, but you don't know who's on the other end. Like, but I've got caller ID. Like, yes, I do. So, like, I kept arguing and arguing, but ultimately it was, you know, you are in the middle of a task. Is it more important for you to answer a call when you don't know the context, it's not scheduled, it's not like it's your boss, it's your friend, maybe it's your neighbor, like, you don't know, right? But is it more important for you to do that, or is it more important for you to finish this task? And then they brought up that 4 quadrants of, like, urgency and importance. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? There's,
Yeah.
uh, important, not important, and then urgent, not urgent. And you'll wanna be working in the important, not urgent box as much as possible. You wanna be doing important things, but you don't always wanna feel like your head's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Did
just
I s did I
Google
stall
search,
long
like,
enough?
Stephen Covey 4 quadrants. Yeah.
Yep,
Do you wanna get out of the urgent, not important, yeah, the crises, and be proactive. So I've got this, do you see my Word doc here that I'm sharing?
we do now.
You can share that out?
Yep,
Yeah. Hope that's I'll zoom it in a bit. Um, so Ben Busy again from hat tip to Todd Kane, one of our partners. And it's actually is on the right side, you got the busy. Busy people talk about how busy they are. They look like they know what they're working towards. They prioritize every task equally. They need to do everything every day. They're spread thin. They're saying yes by default. They're multitaskers. I'm going to circle back to that one. They're quick to action, quick to jump in to answer a call, reply to a text, all of that. Um, but productive people let the results do the talking. They know what they're working towards, their mission, prioritizing the most important tasks. And it might only be one for that day, not 10, but one, maybe 3, but one. Space out the projects. Instead of doing 10 at once, let's do one, finish it, on to the next. Creating the blank space. Um, the space is in the wrong spot there. But blank space, and that could be 5 minutes throughout the day between projects. It could be taking a half-hour lunch. It could be taking a proper weekend so your mind resets. It could be taking the vacation. So there's different places for rest and refreshment. But even a 5-minute stretch break or a walk around the building, huge for productivity. Spend money to save time. And I'd rather buy a tool to save time than spend time to save money.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So this is something every once in a while I'll print off and I'll just rate myself 1 to 10 on each item. Just get honest with myself and then just focus on a couple things to shift over the next week. Um, yeah, batching your busy tasks. Don't let them, don't multitask it with your deep focus work. Um, so yeah, when people say now, just because Todd really harps on that is ban the word busy. So when I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's a moment to have a chat about that.
I like that.
Yeah. And I'm happy to
So,
send this off. If you want to print this off or whatever, just email me and I'll give you the PDF. So it's just a one pager I put together.
yeah, I'm gonna ask you for that at the end. So, if there's someone listening right now that they genuinely believe that, um, their team is maxed out, what's the first thing that you would ask them to, like, count or measure?
They're feeling overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. Um, I'd probably write down all the things that are in your head. If you can get it out of head onto paper, right away you feel so much better. You can see it in front of you. Just like dump it. It's probably only 10 minutes, but just write it down. Get it out of your head. Once you got it on paper, then you can say, let's circle the top 5 things, maybe the 10 things. Because the whole list is too much. Then you can start prioritizing it. But once you see it, then it's like a different mode of your brain, like the executive mode can start to deal with it. But when it's just like rolling around in your head, you can't prioritize. So you're trying to your brain's just going in circles, mulling it over, and you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and like you're not keeping up. And you can never resolve that until you get it visualized.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's, as we talk a lot about visualization, and we're actually, our brains, 10% of the neurons are apparently all around visual, whether it's what we see out of our eyeballs or just if you close your eyes, you can still picture all sorts of things. Um, when we're reading a book, we're visualizing that in our mind.
So
Uh,
true.
so if
Hey,
you can get,
sorry, folks, if you guys have questions, do not hesitate. Pop them in the chat, or if you want to use the Q&A, please.
yeah,
This is as much for you to learn as it is for me, and I gotta say,
yeah.
I'm learning a lot here, Wim.
Okay. Let's jump into a task for everyone. Um,
Sure,
and are you going to play along here, Steve?
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Here is my deck. So I got an exercise around multitasking. So grab a pen and paper,
Okay.
or you could do it like a notepad or a Word document. You can do it either way. And I'm going to ask you to write these 5 names down and just wait until I give you the instruction. And I find my timer.
I'm gonna
Okay, it's showing
I'm
up.
gonna
Yeah.
step away for 30 seconds. I want to grab my iPad so I can actually do this with you.
Okay.
You're in charge.
Yep. All right. Now we can party. Cats away, the mice are playing, as my mom always said. Okay. All right.
All right.
Got the iPad.
Do I hope you guys timed me.
Okay. So, when I say go and I hit the timer, go ahead and write down these 5 names. I got Tokyo, Barcelona, Nairobi, Vancouver, and Prague, and just write them down underneath each other, or yeah, just a list like this, and maybe pop in the chat when you're done, and just say done in the chat. So get that ready, and Steve will tell me when he's done.
Okay.
Okay, and go. Some people say they're done before I started, but Steve is still going.
Steve didn't take time to make sure his pencil was connected correctly.
Okay. Um,
Steve is ready.
Okay, I'll do it again, just for you. When I did it myself, I did it this myself this morning. It took me 9 seconds, including the
Oh,
timer.
oh boy.
Some people did not listen to the instructions, but
All right, I'm ready.
okay, I'll do it again, Steve.
Done.
Yeah, 17 seconds. All right, so I'm going to reset the timer. Um, some people might have beat Steve, some were longer, but we'll do this again, and this time, write down the same names and still underneath each other, but first do the first letter of each word, and then the second letter. So you're going to do the T, the B, the N, the V, and the P, and then the second letter, O-A-A-A-R. Um, so just T, and underneath put a B and an N, and then you'll do the rest of the names. Hope that's clear.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, and go. And I'll go make some coffee in the meantime.
Oh, no.
So we're at 20 seconds. Again, post when you're done. Oh, Raymond's done at 49 or 48.
Wow.
56. Andrew was done around 40, 45.
That is insane.
Mary's done 105. Garth, are you playing along? There, Garth is done 115. Couple more still working on it.
Wow. I don't
So,
like this game.
so what have you noticed going to this?
That so many things I've noticed already.
Yeah.
But task switching between them is not great. I even noticed my handwriting kind of sucks. Going but like
Mm.
everything is different.
Yeah, you make more mistakes. I noticed when I was even like typing it, I just went into like Notepad and I did it. And I'm like, wow, I'm making way more mistakes. I'd go do my third letter. I'm like, oh wow, the second letter was wrong. I didn't even notice. Yeah. So this is a very small exercise um, in 60 seconds, but this happens at a kind of the micro level of our work of different tasks. Like we talked before earlier about, do we take that phone call or not, or do we respond to that text message? But at the macro level across our organizations as well, of our company goals, our projects. If we're jumping between different clients on projects, all these things apply as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh wow, your handwriting, yeah, very different.
Yeah,
So even
it's
that impacts the quality of the work, right?
it did. It
Um,
completely impacted the quality of everything I did.
yeah.
I'm
And
I'm
this,
not a fan.
not a fan. Yeah. To anybody, yeah. So this is, yeah, I do this every time and people are like blown away by it. Um, I need to do it even more often. So yeah, when our technicians or anybody, whether it's finance or sales or marketing, this all applies that you switch away and you come back. It's a huge context switch. You make mistakes. You got to unwind where you were. Huge cognitive overload. And if you can get away from that, and you can, this is not if, it's when you choose to do that, focus
Mhm.
on one, the quality goes up and you get things done quicker. Like reducing this multitasking, eliminating that alone can be a 40% improvement on the company's performance. And I had a client like Steve Saradellis. He presents on this. Yeah, we have the webinar recording on our website. Presented like 5 years ago and did it again like a year ago. And he does this exercise with his team, and we did it on the webinar, and it's huge. He's like, when he reduced the number of projects he's working on from, I think they were at like 20 at a time down to like 5 at a time was their magic number with their team size. Um, they got projects done 60% quicker, or he actually measured it 58.4 was his measurement in ConnectWise. And with the team he had, um, so there's
Wow.
a few things going on with multitasking. Obviously, typically it's combined with a lot of work in progress. Um, yeah, so actually going to move into these time thieves, if you like.
Please, I was just gonna
You
say you
you look a
used
little
the
stunned,
term.
Steve. After this, you're like
I I
you're speechless.
so Wim, I don't think you understand. Like, I'll be honest, like the past few weeks, I feel like I've been spiraling with multitasking and task completion and all sorts of stuff. And like this here just like I feel like I need to completely change the way that I am blocking my calendar. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you've got a slide. I'll put that back up. You talk about the term time thieves, and I think that's the workflow patterns that drain capacity without MSPs even realizing it. So can you walk us through what those actually look like inside an MSP? You
yeah,
probably want to walk us through the slide in itself too.
yes. So this is one of my favorite books that I recommend. I have it on my background here. Making Work Visible by Dominica De Grande. So fantastic book about making work visible, exposing time theft to optimize work and flow. So she talks about these 5 time thieves. Um, I actually always, yeah, actually, I'll start with the one on the far right. I think that's actually where she starts in the book. Is too much whip. Uh, Whip is work in progress. I define that as work that's started but not finished, and it's sitting there. And until we're done, who's benefited from it? Has the client or the company benefited from it? And how does that happen? Again, we say yes, or we don't know what's on our list, so we say yes to everyone, even though there's a whole bunch of things there that are not done. But the impact is huge because now you're multitasking between these things, and you need
Yeah.
systems to track it. If you only have one thing going on, you don't need much of a system. When you've got 30 or 50 or 100, you have more tracking, more to-do lists. You have meetings about it, status meetings, all these things. The more work in progress, the more projects going on, the more meetings, the more jibber jabber, as we say, the more chats on Slack and Teams. And it's a huge impact there. Neglected work is just tickets falling between the cracks, or I say tickets because it's kind of an MSP scenario, but just any work that's neglected. Again, started, not finished. It's waiting on something. It's overdue. It's over budget. And so that's one. It could also be technical things that um, we've abandoned, like technical debt. Are you familiar with that term, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Um, which probably not just for software development, but it could happen in IT, it could happen in other things. If we don't do certain things, it's going to come and bite us in the butt later and surprise us with an emergency, an outage, whatever. So if we neglect those things, and we got a problem. And some of we're so busy. Well, we talked about a Stephen Covey's matrix, is that we're so busy with today's stuff that we're not dealing with the preventative stuff. So if we can get a bit of time in every day, every week, maybe 10% of our time to deal with it proactively, maintenance, improving our processes, covering our bases, that reduces maybe 20, 30% of work that was unnecessary. So we need to visualize what is getting neglected, falling between the cracks. It's like that fruit on the counter. You see, leave that banana there for a week, it's not looking so yellow anymore. So let's
But that just
visualize
means
those.
that banana is even better for banana bread.
Maybe, if that's your goal. Yeah. Um, but yeah, unknown dependencies.
Thanks,
Sorry, I'm
Ron.
going right to left. Uh, is we're starting the work, and then we realize, oh, I need this training, I need this tool, or I need I need Steve to approve something. I got to pick their brain on something, but he's busy on something, or he's on vacation, or we need some hardware, need some security access. We need something from the client. And so if we can map that out up front, we can deal with that more proactively. So when we're ready to sit down and do the work, we can just do it. If we've got all these things that pop up as we're doing the project, it puts it on hold. So you get a wonderful timeline, a Gantt chart, and you want to start, but you can't. End up the work just sits there, and that's why projects take longer and they linger. And that start stop. We're going to talk about the multitasking, the context switching. You're losing cycles there, that 40% of the time. And conflicting priorities, I like to say it's like having multiple bosses. The client says one thing, the service manager, project manager, salesperson, the CEO says another thing. Those could be conflicting priorities. So how do you reconcile all of those? Between the proactive and the reactive, or between project and service. I see a lot of engineers or technicians are doing both. They got to answer the phone, help users with issues, and they're expected to do projects. Well, what's next? So we need to, that's a thief. It's stealing time and focus. And then the unplanned work is, I think I actually confused that the description a bit with the neglected work, but just the emergencies happening. It's a reactive. This or that doesn't work. The Wi-Fi is down. Something got hacked, a bug, viruses. It's all things we did not plan on when we started the day. Yeah. So the answer to all of these is making the work visible, which she recommends, which I wholeheartedly agree with, is a Kanban board to see these things. A simple tool to highlight all these time thieves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what a great time for us to take a very quick break. Um, I will say this: everything that Wim has been covering, it comes back to the same idea, right? It's all about getting more out of the team you've already got, right? So, uh, ignore the weird glove. I use it when I'm on my iPad writing. Uh, that same thinking about getting more out of the team that you already have, that is the same thought process behind alternative payments. All right. So we have plenty of educational stuff to go through still. Um, so please hang tight. There's a lot of ground to cover in the second half. I don't want you guys to drop off early and like miss something that's going to be so awesome. Okay. All right. So,
And we'll do this real quick, right? Just a few minutes each.
oh yeah, we're not taking long. I even made my commercial shorter. I just need to get the screen share up. You blew my mind so much, Wim, that I was completely unprepared and I apologize. But here we are. Problem solved. All right. So, alternative payments is a payment platform specifically built for MSPs. These are some of the teams using it. The reason they switched is pretty simple. They were tired of chasing invoices manually. So we give your clients a branded portal where they can see every invoice, they can pay it, set up auto pay themselves. There's less back and forth, faster money in your pocket.
Sorry, Steve, are you showing your screen? I'm seeing mine right now on the preview.
Of course you are. Because you blew my mind that much, I forgot to hit the button. All right. You guys have got full control over how autopay runs. It can be globally per client, based on billing terms, invoice amounts. So it works the way your business actually works, not the other way around. And on the back end, we connect directly to your PSA, to your accounting software. Whether you're using ConnectWise or Halo, the invoice is going to get created in the PSA. It syncs into our platform. We'll send it out to your clients automatically. The clients that are on auto pay, they'll get charged on the due date. Clients who are still paying you manually, they just sign into the portal and can make the payment. Once the payment hits, we will deposit it into your account as quickly as the next day. Um, we will create the deposit into your QuickBooks or whatever your accounting platform is. We'll even process any fees in that deposit so that way the whole AR workflow runs and nobody really has to touch it. So the result of this is about 80% less manual AR work, and you could even get an average of 3% savings on credit card processing fees. The onboarding team here will move all of your existing payment data over without breaking PCI compliance. So, if you are curious how other MSPs are automating accounts receivable without adding headcount, let us show you. I'm going to launch a poll that's gonna run, and while you guys answer that one simple question, Wim, why don't you tell us a little bit about Top Left and what you are doing for MSPs? And I will put your screen back up.
Yep. And let's see. Am I back up? You see
You
my
are up.
ConnectWise screen?
Yes, sir.
And I lost my videos. That's okay. So yeah, I started TopLeft over 10 years ago as something I needed in my MSP. We're using ConnectWise, still are using ConnectWise, and it's got great data, great database, but the visuals are kind of lacking. And so we basically extend that, we embrace what they're doing and extend on that with our visuals. And so this is what you would see in ConnectWise is a list of tickets, a list of projects is very similar. basically just a big Excel file. You have your dispatch portal, which is all about scheduling. And the traditional advice in the industry is schedule your people full, which I think leads to this multitasking and higher work in progress. Because you can still get interrupted, and it's a lot of work for the admin person to be scheduling. I call it like calendar Tetris. And people are like full-time dispatchers, multiple dispatchers filling calendars. And that prevents people from pulling other tickets in the team. They're just kind of being spoon-fed and they get used to that. So it's not a great way of treating our people with respect, and it slows down the flow because it's waiting for the calendar rather than when you're done one job, pull the next one. So I love the Kanban concept. Again, I read it from the books. Software development has been using it for much longer. And so we brought it to ConnectWise, Autotask, and Halo. So this is what it would look like in top left is a Kanban board. So everything is represented as a card. You could say it's like a sticky note on a whiteboard. You could do this yourself. I've met MSPs, met one in Bellingham, Washington State, and they had like 3 whiteboards full of their projects, all of their Kanban view. But here we do it digital. It's integrated with the API. So you can see here, Peter's got some tickets in his new column, his ready column. He can drag and drop, see what's going on. So you can just drag and drop to indicate your status, your priority. And the idea is you got this left to right flow here. The work comes in on the top left, just why we named the company that way. And in some sort of backlog, new triage column, and it's going to go from left to right across the board. And the goes towards in progress and completed on the right side. The job of the technicians is to make sure we're getting out the right side. It's like a pipeline. We have to get things out the pipe before we push more things in. So the idea, their work in progress should be like 1, maybe 2, extreme case, like 3 tickets in progress. Whereas most of MSPs, when they onboard with TopLeft, they're at like 5, 10, 15 tickets open on maybe not all, but some of the resources. So a Kanban view. And then the last thing I'll show is we got the Gantt charts and the capacity planning. So you can plan out your capacity in your projects, making sure you're not overcommitted in the team. So with this view, basically you get your people, the projects they're working on, you can plan them out, drag and drop them, adjust these schedules, and then see other capacity. So here, Greg is over allocated 70 hours. So at the top, I can move the project while it's still, the project is 70 hours a week. So I can just say, hey, well, instead of over a couple of weeks, let's do it over a couple of months. And now he's in the green. So yeah, we can stop sharing there. But like I just did a
Very cool.
demo with a MSP this morning using Autotask, and they're having to re-enter all their projects into Microsoft Planner to get that kind of view. And even then it's missing. It doesn't really have the capacity because that's all in Autotask. So people are struggling with Excel files, Planner, Asana, Monday.com, and still not getting the visual. So the idea is using your PSA as the data source, the source of truth, and just visualize it properly. As soon as you see it and you know what you have to do, like I did the exercise with you with multitasking, now you know what you got to do. If you're overwhelmed, like just dump it on paper, and you'll right away you'll start seeing what you have to do. So it turns it from being bogged down and overwhelmed, just to the clarity you need, and your mind just starts seeing patterns and prioritizing.
Awesome.
So yeah, just many companies struggle with what date do we give a new client to onboard them? Can we start this week? Is it in 4 weeks, 8 weeks? This MSP, they had like a 60-day rule, but he's to start onboarding or projects for a new client because they got to onboard them and settle in before they start a project. But is it why 60? Why not 30? Or maybe it should be 90. So these tools help them plan that and set expectations properly with the team and clients.
That is so great. Thank you, Wim. All right, we will dive back in just a second. I am going to launch a poll. If you are interested in learning more about Top Left and how Wim and the team at Top Left can help your MSP manage um, your help desk more efficiently, uh, please take a moment and answer that poll. Uh, Now we'll dive back in. So, Research says multitasking costs around 23% efficiency. Context switching can take up to 20 minutes to recover from. For tech running 10 to 15 open tickets, what's that math look like?
It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 to 15 open tickets. I mean, realistically, they can only switch between 4 or 5 tickets a day if it really does take 20 minutes to recover from the task switch, right? So, um, because we're talking 20, 40, 60, 3 tickets being switched between is an hour. So, okay, maybe they could do more than that. I guess it depends on the complexity of the ticket, right? If it's a password change, then, change the password and move on. But, sometimes it's a little more complex than that. Sometimes it's backups are failing and you got to troubleshoot and figure out why they're failing. All right, well, we only blocked off an hour for you to fix this, but an hour in, you still haven't figured out what the actual problem is, let alone figured out how to deploy a solution. So now what? Do we stop working on this because you're scheduled to work on the next one, or do we just keep going? So, yeah, I think you're right. The calendar thing becomes a problem. So how do you stop letting the tail wag the dog with the calendar thing?
It's we say use the calendar for what it was meant to be. Like you've got a real commitment with somebody for a specific day and time. Like clients like, hey, can you call me at 3 o'clock tomorrow and we'll do a screen share and troubleshoot this Outlook issue I have. All right. Because something like that. Because you got to respect their schedules. Or if you got a server maintenance, hey, you got to schedule that. On-site work, again, you got to meet the client. They got building access. Hey, you got to schedule that. But typically that's maybe 5%, 10% of our workload and not the majority. So use it wisely there. And otherwise, you're just available to pull the next ticket from the queue.
And if you're the kind of person like me, for example, where you are heavy on meetings, maybe 30% of your week is meetings. Um, it might make more sense to block off not a chunk for each task, but a chunk of maybe like focus time per day for just collectively tasks, right?
Yeah. And that's, yeah, setting up some themes for the day, for sort of day by day. Um, so I like to keep Mondays pretty light on meetings so I can catch up with emails. I might have the odd internal meeting, like a sales meeting or something, but I try to keep most of it free just for projects buffer. And Fridays I like to keep light as well. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm strategic as to where I allow the meetings to be because I want to have time to focus on the projects and not be going crazy. So you have to look at your energy and when does your mind work best for different types of work. Um, yeah, some things creative work, maybe morning is better, maybe it's midday, maybe it's evening, whatever, right? So there's actually tools you can do like in time and energy audit is you go through, you can even go like every 15 minutes, you log down your mental state, focus, energy, and what the task is, because then you can maybe eliminate some things and then just see, is this the best time to be doing it? So
Huh.
I think having those open discussions, like with a team, like sometimes you need to, across your team, realize, okay, let's move all our team meetings to one day so it's done and over with. And we're probably more efficient when it's batched that way. So batching can help. And then making sure you've got these 4 hour blocks where you can just work through your task list. Because I find if I got a half an hour, it's hard to do a whole lot in a half hour. Because I
Yeah.
don't want to get into a long email response and then be like half done. I hate being half done on stuff. I'd rather start and do it um, than leave it half done. Um,
So, what's a realistic WIP number per tech that you've seen unlock flow? Is it just one?
one, maybe two.
And how do you get the team to actually honor that limit? So, what happens when you hit a blocker? Is it still whip or is it um yes, we'll get to that, Andrew. Or is it something else? Is it a different status?
You have to look at what it's blocked on. Ideally, you'd be like, let's solve this right now. Like, let's get that blocker figured out. But you might have to put like a waiting client or a waiting vendor status. Like typically you'd have those statuses in your PSA already. So it's putting on that. And then you'd have a waiting column on the board. And you'd be like, hey, every day, we still got to watch that because you don't want it to be a place where stuff goes to die. And you don't want it to be a parking lot and you forget about it. So you do have to watch that as well as, hey, it's been sitting there waiting for 2 days. I need to get back to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, Making Work Visible by Dominica DeGrandis, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It is in the chat. Um, all right. Most MSPs, we already talked about calendar Tetris, um, pool-based dispatch. We already kind of talked about why that outperforms scheduled assignment. Is there anything else that we need to add to that though? I mean, we talked about big picture, but as we dig in more, is there anything else that we may have missed?
Yeah. Transitioning to pull based, I've seen some people maybe move too quick with it. Like you can do this within a couple weeks. So we help our clients do that is within 30 days, switch from traditional calendar dispatch to a pull based model. But yeah, just explaining to the team why and the concepts, take them through the multitasking exercise, some of the concepts from the book. But yet it applies everywhere and everything we do. Um, but yeah, that's why with new clients, we get them to do two things. One is the daily huddle, where you're going through the board, and it's not a status update, but it's like, hey, what's blocked and keeping that moving forward, and who's got high work in progress, and how can we maybe redistribute that or block your focus. Like, hey, Brent's got to spend 3 hours going through these tickets he started. Let's not give him phone calls or emails or new tickets. Let him focus on that. And don't be pinging him on Slack or Teams. So there's a bunch of methods we have on that that we've seen work well in our MSP and we help our clients with. But pull plays, I don't know. The concept to me is pretty straightforward. Um, but it is a bit of an aha moment. If you've been doing the schedule approach for 10, 20 years, it's a bit of a kind of like what you went through with the multitasking. You're like, whoa, you're just gonna like slam, you're like wordless. Like, you just gotta hit that point. You're like, hey, now I get it. Now I get the power. And then once you see the light, then that's just the way you operate.
Now, what's the pushback you hear most from owners or maybe even dispatchers? Like, are dispatchers going to be out of a job when you move to pool based? Because well, they don't need a dispatcher anymore if the techs are just pulling a ticket.
The I'd say it's like freeing them up for higher value things. Often they're crazy busy and they could be helping with maybe some marketing admin, some sales admin, procurement, other things. So there is still space for a coordinator and like
Uh-huh.
an admin person to support the team. So they can be focused on helping clients, the technical work, engineering, design, troubleshooting working tickets. And this person has their back on tidying the boards, prioritizing, from coordinating, greasing the wheel, but not micromanaging, not scheduling, not touching their calendar so much. So they still might do some scheduling with the client. Clients like, can we have a technician tomorrow or today? She or he may jump in and help with that, but not playing this Tetris game in the dispatch portal.
Well, and that's good because what I just heard is owners might be worried that, well, if I do this, I'm going to have to let go my dispatcher. So if they're reminded that maybe the dispatcher is capable of so much more if they weren't so busy managing people's calendars.
Yeah,
That's reassuring.
yeah.
What are your thoughts about daily stand-ups? Those have a reputation for being a waste of time, but uh, don't you probably think they're, I don't know, key to flow, right?
It's key to flow. Like as managers, coordinators, we got to view ourselves as flow engineers. And the best way to do that is through the huddle. And
Okay.
um, but yeah, if people are showing up and giving their little update and then mentally checking out while everyone else does a little update, yeah, waste of time. Stop doing it. But it should not be that. They should be engaged, supporting each other, and it's all about what's blocked and not moving forward. Again, it's max 15 minutes. If you got low whip, it might even be like under 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Because you're not
So
solving issues, you're identifying what are the bottlenecks, what's not moving, and then you're going to solve that afterwards.
So what I think I just heard is when you do your daily huddle, it's not, all right, Bill, you're going to do this and Jeff, you're going to do that, because that's wasting everyone's time for all of us to hear everybody else's assignments. It might be more efficient for the person doing the assigning, but making it more efficient for one person at the expense of, 5, 10, 20 people is not efficient.
Yeah, and
So,
they should have value even if that one person is not there. They should not be skipping it because that person's gone that day,
yeah.
right?
So how do we turn this into a more valuable meeting? Like what's one change we make for this daily huddle right now that fixes it or gets it closer to fixed? If today it's Jim, you're doing that, Jeff, you're doing this.
I'd say you look at your total whip. So if you have a team of, let's say, 5 people, your total whip should be like under 10, right? But say, hey, we're at 25. Today, how can we get that to 20? What are 5 tickets? Maybe 3 tickets. So we can start today or start tomorrow in a little bit better shape. All right. So how do we keep squeezing that down every day? So if you keep that your focus, that's going to trigger the right conversations. And I think that's a full team effort. You need all the brain power of that group to do that.
Okay.
And and then you'll get the real answers or objections of, hey, well, I'm waiting on this, or I need an answer, or yeah.
Can can you give me an example of a couple questions you might ask in a flow huddle that maybe you would never ask in a status meeting? I stumped him, guys.
Um, a status meeting is kind of like, hey, I'm looking for the status of stuff, but your board should show that. Somebody should be able to look at that board and have most of the answers they need without having to click on it and read the details of the ticket notes. That board is the story, what's going on. So you should not have to ask questions that the board answers.
Okay. What
Right.
about let's say an owner is listening right now. They want to start tomorrow. What's the first thing like where do they begin? They shouldn't just start making changes willy-nilly because I think if I'm hearing this correctly, the first thing that you should do before you start any of your tickets is make sure you have all the necessary information, equipment, etc., before that becomes work in progress. Otherwise, you're just going to have a bunch of tickets that aren't going anywhere, right? So we can't just say, let's just start changing things tomorrow.
Correct. This should be a evolution and not a revolution. All right. So small incremental change. That's preferably organic, that the team is coming up with the ideas and you just keep improving. It's like that proverbial 1% a day and it stacks over a year, over 3 years, over 10 years. Because there's kind of no end to the improvement. So we just want to start visualizing it and then making small changes. You don't want to get in shape before you go to the gym. You just start going. You put your shoes on, go barefoot if you have to, start walking, start moving and
And
improve.
how long before they should start seeing, I don't know, measurable throughput improvement if they say, "All right, we're just gonna figure it out as we go and start making some changes."
In a week, in
Wow.
days,
Okay,
even in hours.
that.
We've onboarded clients and they're like, wow, we've just seen a whole bunch of tickets in our backlog that we should have had done and are not. Or we found some stuff that actually was done. We never closed it and we haven't billed the client yet. Like money on the table stuff. Um,
And you've helped hundreds of MSPs implement this. What do things look like, 6 months later? What's different about their day, their numbers, their conversations?
it's all around that whip and flow and pulling it and focusing time, all the things we talked about today. So yes, there's numbers. There's the mental health side. hear stories about that. Um, but they're able to do more with their team. This is not about really about letting people go or letting a dispatcher go. Some have, or somebody would left and like, hey, we don't need to replace them. But often they're like, hey, we can do more with the people we have, and we're not going to stress or burn them out anymore. So
Huh.
we can double our clients with the same dispatcher slash coordinator. We can double our projects with the same project manager, and he's got more control and visibility. Yeah. So there's a lot more.
Very,
I could go on for hours through all those case
I
studies,
bet.
but there's a lot.
I bet. Um, but unfortunately, we don't have hours. So, for those of you that are interested, that book, Making Work Physical by Dominica de Grandis, is available from Amazon. You can get it as, you know, physical, Kindle, audiobook, whatever works best for you. It sounds like that's a big one that Wim recommends. Any other
And
books you'd recommend?
the Phoenix Project, I'm always a big fan of as well. Have you heard that one?
I bought that one and I think I got into the first paragraph and squirrel.
Um,
Such is life for Steve.
but that's why a lot of people have come to us. They've read the book and they're like, yes, we want to operate this way because it gets all into the pull-based flow, Kanban theory of constraints. It gets into a lot of the science, the models, algorithms behind this
Mhm.
um, in the real world, and it's written as a novel, so it's not a textbook. Um, but it's a novel with characters and stuff. That's why I mentioned Brent all the time because he's one of the key characters in the book.
I don't think I remember that.
You didn't get that far,
Oops.
no.
I didn't. I really didn't. All right. And then I see there's like they're calling it the Phoenix Project Duet. Are you familiar with this is Candace Wright, correct?
That's I haven't heard of that one. Now I'm curious.
Nope. Wrong book.
I think no, different one. It's by Gene Kim, etc.
Yep. I see that now. It's a much different book.
Yeah,
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for attending. Wim, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all of
fun.
you. And I have our next webinar coming up on Thursday. Keep an eye out for that. You all have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. See you, Steve.